Couch with Koel.
His films may or may not set the box office on fire, but his songs invariably become huge chart busters. By playing a 70s mafia don, serial kisser Emraan Hashmi moved into the big league. But will he be able to shed his sexy tag once and for all to play with the big boys? Emraan Hashmi, thank you very much for being on my couch today and for inviting us in your lovely home.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure, my pleasure.
So how has life changed after the success of Once Upon a Time? Because that was your biggest league film, right?
Yeah. Well, it was a big change. It was a major game changer for me as far as the kind of content and obviously the big budgeted film that I was doing for the first time. Taking the underworld and placing it back in the 60s and 70s was a huge, novelty and a big selling point for the audience and for me to be part of this film. So I'm just glad that the audience loved the film.
They did, and you always say that you have a deeper connect with the darker side of life than with the lighter side of life. All your films reflect that as well. Why is that, and what are you connecting with?
I don't know. As a kid, I always probably preferred the villain in the film. I don't know. I had this probably a kink in my head when I was a kid. I was like, if the villain's gonna die, the film's gonna end. So I found it so entertaining. If I found a film entertaining, I didn't want the villain to die. So probably, in my memory, villains probably were larger than life than heroes.
Yeah, you're right. The minute the villain dies, film over.
The film ends. So I just wanted the film to go on, and it's kind of weird, but it's just that it's kind of evolved since then, and it's not your traditional unidimensional villains these days. And I've played characters that have been positive, and it's great that the audience is extremely receptive to characters like, for example, Shoaib in Once Upon a Time, and you can experiment with that and go back to a positive film.
But your positive films work less than your negative roles.
Well, I've never done an out-and-out running around the trees, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, and boy gets the girl back in the end kind of film. My films have always been characters which have been grey, which have not stereotypical, which have changed somewhere, in the kind of...
Do you think you could play it convincingly, the boy meets girl, the chocolate boy hero? Do you think you could
first of all, I don't understand rom-coms. I know, girls, you love rom-coms, but I probably...
Don't generalize, mister. I mean, like, don't look at me and go, like girls, I just told you I loved Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, I know.
That's
but generally, girls like rom-coms. I've always seen those.
And boys like gangster films.
Yeah.
I've seen boys cry at rom-coms all the time.
I know it's a cliche, but probably the only time I get to see a rom-com is when my wife drags me in and says that sit down and watch the film.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, I know it's quite it's quite a painful experience. But maybe I will. Maybe I'll contradict my statement that not doing rom-coms right now, and probably after 2-3 years I might just go out and do an out-and-out rom-com. But as of now, it's kind of intense, grey shades. I love bad guys on screen, and of course not traditional bad guys. The anti-hero.
Are you a bad guy in real life?
A bit.
Really?
I'm in touch with probably. You got to draw a lot from your negative emotions. You have to be in touch with that. You can't always be politically right in things that you do in life. And you make mistakes, and you look at them in the eye and say that, you've made this mistake, probably you redeem yourself. But you got to, you have great experiences, you have bad experiences. So you got to hold on to both. There are mistakes in the career.
I'm talking about something evil that you've done. Let's hear
a lot of evil things. A lot of evil things.
So let's hear what is comfortable to talk on television.
let me think about something that won't get me into trouble. Let's start off in the early days. Copying in exams, not studying. That would be evil as a kid.
See, you're born to be an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
Not studying, copying an exam is born to be an actor.
Yeah. So I was more of a, I function under pressure. And when I don't end up studying, then not that this is a message out to the kids, but this is what I used to do. Don't do this at home or in your classroom.
Or do it if you want to become an actor.
Yeah, of course.
So if you weren't related to Bhatt Saab and you had your first disaster movie, Footpath, do you think you would have still survived in this industry because he was like a godfather to
I don't think I would have done films to begin with if he wasn't my uncle, because he pushed me into it, and I don't know why. Like I said, I took this as a summer job. Bhatt Saab and Mukesh used to come over to my house, and obviously they meet my grandmom and all. And they said that, what's Imi doing? He's just kind of, after college I wasn't doing much, and I was kind of confused. So he said, just send him over to the office, let him check out every department. I tried my hand at editing, I hated it. Direction, I lacked the discipline and the hard work. And then suddenly in the middle of it all, he said that, why don't you become an actor? So I don't know what he saw in me. Or not traditionally, quite below average looking, unconventional. I didn't see myself fitting into that slot at all. But then he said, why don't you try, give it a go? And then I said, okay.
So he really was a god, like he's a full-on godfather.
He pushed me into it, yeah.
Why have you not been able to break into the league where you're working with Karinas, Priyankas, Katrinas of this industry?
Probably because they work in a certain kind of cinema that probably I don't see myself fitting into as of now.
But isn't that the big cinema of this industry? Isn't that where...
I don't see films as big or small on the way they're budgeted. I see on return on investment. We make small to medium budget films with high concepts, and they end up making more money than probably, I'm not saying a generalized viewpoint, but I'm saying I want to do a film I believe in. I wouldn't want to just do a big film and give 50 or 60 days of my life and then have the ordeal of going on the set and being uncomfortable of,
So that's quite interesting. You say you want to do films that you believe in, but the films, if you look at your filmography, they are all very dark films, you know? So that's obviously coming back to the whole dark side of it.
And yes, it gets repetitive, and for your own good. I know there's something you want to do and there's something you have to do, because once it reaches a saturation point, you need to change. And that's when I'm doing a Madhur's film, which is Dil To Bachcha Hai Ji, which is a rom-com. Which
you just said, I don't do rom-coms.
Yes.
I never watch rom-coms. My God, it's torture.
No, but you know what Madhur has done with it? The reason why I did this film is because he does intense cinema, topical cinema, so he's added a sense of realism in it. Rom-coms are always placed in this fairy tale world, which we all know doesn't exist, and when you in real life,
of course it exists. Excuse me, my life is a rom-com, okay?
Well, you just married right now, so just give it another 4 years. No, I'm just kidding. But
he says on his wedding anniversary, okay, no. Bad boy.
So yeah, it just kind of takes that away from the fairy tale romance and shows you what it's all about. It's showing you the real thing.
So it's a hatke rom-com.
I don't like that word, hatke.
No, nor do I, but I'm making...
No, just say run of the mill. I don't care, but it's a good film.
It's a boy bonding film.
Yeah.
And you've got on very well with Omi and Ajay in that film. Tell us something about the chemistry that you
Ajay I've worked with in Once Upon a Time, and that was a completely different on-screen chemistry, which was conflict and intensity, fights. This is a completely different kind of film where the three guys that he owns an apartment, and both of us kind of crashed there, and we were like paying guests. And I'm this gym instructor who freeloads on women, and who likes to rope up socialite women and kind of, for things and for perks, and then they support my lifestyle. So I am the guru. I'm the guy who gives these guys...
So you're back to playing the Casanova.
Back to playing. I never left it.
You never left it. I love it.
I did it Once Upon a Time.
Now, I wasn't going to say this, but I have to now. So we're going to talk about serial kissing now. Of course, your favorite tag. I'm not going to ask you any of the questions because I had enough tweets about them.
Oh yeah, okay.
So, Dana Bolly wants to know, when you were a teenager, were you a serial kisser?
Yes, I was.
Who did you kiss? And who did you kiss and make them cry? Is that what?
Yeah, my first kiss was when I was 9.
A proper kiss, or just like an innocent?
A proper kiss. Not like. Obviously, it was awkward, but we didn't know what it was at the time. But yeah, it is shocking. Yeah, it's disgusting.
Okay, carry on.
9, and I know I've not counted yet,
but obviously you were.
I guess as far
you were
as
born a serial kisser.
No, as far as kids are concerned, I guess I was my scoreboard was slightly at a higher run rate than the rest of them.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the specifics. Please avoid them.
I will. If this is a family channel.
It is.
If Stu 13 wants to know, do you think you're an underrated actor?
I don't know what that means. I've got my due. I've got successful films. There are opinion makers in the industry who feel that my cinema is not the prescribed and the acceptable cinema. They can go to hell. I don't feel their cinema is the prescribed and accepted cinema.
No, but her question is, do you have stuff in there that, hasn't been explored yet as an actor?
Everyone has that. I've just had like 6 years in the industry, and you never tap it all. I believe that, and I think when you arrive and you feel you've arrived, then I think that's the end of you as an actor. It's always in the journey. It's not about arriving at a particular destination.
Well, we've arrived at a point where we have to take a break, but come right back because I'm going to be talking more about serial kissing with Emraan Hashmi.
On the couch with Koel.
I'm here with Emraan Hashmi, the self-confessed bad boy. Now, the music of your films always becomes like big chartbusters. Do you have a good ear for music, or?
I don't listen to the kind of music that mainstream Bollywood music. I only listen to my film. It's kind of narcissistic, but I listen to my film music.
So you listen to something before you make films, no? Or
no,
you never listen to music?
No. This is completely left to the music directors, the singers, the director, and I don't play around with that because I believe that if it's not broken, don't fix it.
But it was with Wo Lamhe that you sort of became like the sexy, you know, icon where everyone looked at you and went, oh, he's really hot. We never thought he was hot. We always thought he was like the bad guy, you know, the sleazy one, not the, you know this, right? Or you don't?
I thought I'm still the sleazy one.
Oh, you're still the sleazy one?
Oh, yeah.
I better be careful. I've been warned about
no,
you.
I won't. You're married. It's okay.
So, okay. Coming back to the serial kissing,
But
right?
no, coming back to the interesting point that I'm trained in classical music. As a kid, I was. But then I left it because suddenly it was not that cool. Because in the 80s, and suddenly Michael Jackson happened. And then suddenly classical music, Hindi music wasn't that cool.
And now it's cool all over again.
It's cool all over again. And I just feel you know, that's one of the regrets I have. I should have pursued that.
So maybe you can make your son do it.
I will, definitely.
What is the relationship you share with your son?
Oh, he beats me up. He wakes me up at like
He's not
7.
even one.
No,
okay?
he does. He's got probably the strongest hands for a 10-year-old. Yeah, he does. He does. 10-month-old, sorry.
He's not 10-year-old.
10-month-old, sorry. And he kind of slaps me around at like 7:30 in the morning and wakes me up and even try.
But are you a hands-on father or are you an absentee father being an actor?
I think in that department probably I have not been able to give the time that I would want to. And you know, my wife always says that, you know, she's doing most of the work and I get, you know, slapped around for that. And yeah, and then it just is, the irony is that the first thing he says is Papa. And that makes her mad because she says that I'm feeding him, I'm changing his diapers, and he goes out and says Papa, which is
just awful.
Awful.
Okay? Right, we're back to the tweets and the serial kissing. Wish Afia wants to know, why are most of your films adult types? Like, you can't watch his movies with your family.
That's true, that's true. That's something I regret. That's something I'm stuck with. That's something I need to break away from and kind of get in a wider audience to see my films. We have graduated to a UA film, but we're trying for you.
Ronak Kalia wants to know, whom did you practice with to get a perfect lip lock on screen?
Jesus. Okay. Who did I practice with? With the actresses. I think it was extremely awkward.
You practiced with the actresses?
No, as in not practice. It was just like rehearsals, right? So that's like practice. But it's kind of awkward.
So you got rehearsals. Normally the actresses for during rehearsal go and they just twist, and it's only they do it on the real take.
No, the thing is, when we did it, we kissed first time in the film. It was like for a concept, it was very bold, so we didn't know what we were going to murder.
About here? Murder. Okay.
So we had to kind of get it right because it was been done for the first time. So it took a couple of shots.
You were just enjoying it actually.
No, actually no.
No.
It's quite a painful experience.
Is kissing just acting?
It is acting, yes.
So then why do you say that you'll never kiss a boy on screen? Because it's just acting. It shouldn't be something that's giving you a little bit of a turn on.
Because this just as far as you can push the limits, right? I mean.
It's just acting.
No, I've never done that, so probably it wouldn't look that convincing.
But you do a little bit of rehearsal and practice it.
I don't think I would get perfect with this one.
Well, there's no way of knowing unless you try.
I don't want to try.
So you're never going to play a gay character?
I just might. Like I said, I do contradict. I might end up in the next 3-4 years.
I can see you as
Thank you. That's so nice.
Really? Okay, before you hit me or kiss me, Sumit Aga wants to know, among all the female actors you've kissed on screen, whom did you enjoy with the most and whom was the biggest turn-off? And you're not allowed to say pass.
No, I won't pass, but I'll give an extremely diplomatic answer because I think everyone was wonderful and everyone has kind of contributed to my growth as an actor and
to your kissing skills.
And to my kissing skills. And
do you always brush your teeth before you kiss?
Of course, yes.
Always?
Yes.
And have you ever kissed anyone with bad breath?
Never. I never do that.
No, the other person.
That's why, even if it is, I offer gum. That's one of the rituals.
What if someone says, you know, you offer the gum and she's got really bad breath and she's like, no, I'm fine. Just eaten garlic.
No, I stuff it down. No, you have to have it. It's a norm. It's a must. So I do that, yeah.
So far, no horrible experiences?
No. Not that I can think of, no.
Rajiv 7779 wants to know, is your partner okay with your kissing habits?
No, she's not. She hates it.
Then?
Then like I said, it's their personal life, their professional life, and they don't want to take the responsibility of telling me what to do with my profession, and then being responsible for things that might not work out. So eventually it has to be my decision.
So do you fight about it? Have you ever
early on
fought
we used
about
to.
it?
Early on we used to.
When you were dating?
She used to throw things at me and kind of beat me at trial shows, and not beat me. She's actually extremely supportive that way, but
no, but as a partner, and I don't mean this in a girl or boy way, as a partner watching, who's a non-actor, watching someone, you know, kissing another person or getting intimate with another person is a bit cringe-making, you know. I'm sure you wouldn't be okay with your wife doing it.
No, of course, it is extremely, it's very, very uncomfortable for her, but she's very understanding as a person.
Really?
And yeah, and that's, you know, she knows it's my career, and I just had probably the most unconventional kind of first couple of films, and that kind of was so impactful.
Were you seeing her before you got into films?
Yeah,
or?
yeah.
So she knows you for a long time.
Yeah.
And what is it about you two that keeps you together, like the primary force?
We keep it simple. It's not a complicated relationship. We were friends before we got married. So yeah.
And what do you love most about her?
Her simplicity, that she doesn't give a damn about the film industry, and she's not starstruck, and she doesn't, it's very refreshing. Probably that was how I was, so we kind of connected back then.
Has it ever happened, because you have played intimate roles and you played intense dark roles and you get into it, you know, fully. Has it ever happened that you felt feelings for your co-star which were perhaps a little bit more than just, you know, acting?
No.
I'm not saying that you've acted on those feelings, but have you ever felt...
No. The thing is, that's why it is, I wouldn't say it's uncomfortable. It's like acting out any scene, because there's no intimacy there when you're doing a scene. So probably I've not let it get to that level. So it is for any scene, even if it's an intimate scene, if it's it just is a scene where you're acting out, and there's the camera angles, and of course there's the crew standing around. So it never gets to that point. No.
Okay, now it's time for Couch Confession.
Couch Confession.
What are you most thankful for?
My family, my friends.
What is your greatest fear?
I guess losing my family, my friends, my loved ones.
May that never happen to you. What is the most arrogant thing you've ever done?
I was rude to a fan once, and I generally stretch myself to kind of, but it was just one of the days, like I said, you know, sometimes it just, you know, there's a lot on your mind, and sometimes it gets in your space, and there's only that one time when I've been probably very rude and I regretted it. Yeah, that would be one thing.
Well, if you're watching, he's regretting it, right? Who would you like to be stuck in a lift with?
Like to be? Charlize Theron.
If you were stuck in a lift with Malika Sharabat and she was wearing his costume and you were stuck in it for hours and hours, what would you do?
I would probably, if the fan is there, try to break out and climb out, you know, climb the...
You couldn't, right? You're just stuck with her, so what would we see?
I would try to strike a conversation with her. Yeah. I'd keep mouthwash and gum handy.
In case you needed to kiss her?
In case, you never know.
Okay, this is a much married man. What is the most ridiculous dialogue you've ever heard or spoken?
I forget my dialogues after I say them, so I don't really remember.
Maybe you've heard it, like you do watch films, right?
Yeah, I don't remember any. I'm sorry.
Rubbish you are.
I'm sorry. I gave you a nice one. I said I'll keep the mouthwash and the chewing gum handy, right?
So that's it now interview over?
That's controversial enough. So now let's go on.
Okay, fine. Okay,
Okay,
no, done. Can I ask you one last question?
Please.
just for you know, old time's sake?
Yes.
How would you like to be remembered?
I would definitely not want to be remembered for my kisses, for something that I feel right now, the way I've, you know, my career has been for the 7 years. I don't want to take it down to my tombstone, kissed from 1979 to whenever. So I wanted to graduate to something else. So yeah, a lot of things.
What is that something else that you would like to graduate?
A great actor. I want to change, and probably it'll take some time.
So
but
no more kisses?
No, I never said that.
And on that note,
not for the time being.
To donate to Couch Cares, log on to headlinestoday.in or follow my tweets at Koel's Couch. On the Couch with Koel.